Krumel. How are you? Happy Tuesday. For a second, couldn't remember what day it is. Um, and I think you're ahead of me. So are you the 22nd, the 23rd right now? All right, hang on. Let me get to my chat. Hold on. All right. Woof. I'm kind of hot at the moment. It was cold. I was freezing and now I'm sweating. Go figure. Um, the 23rd. All right, you're there. Oh, it's 23rd here. What the hell? It's 5 p.m. I just don't know what day I'm in anymore. I've been cooking, baking, cleaning, and I have so much more to do before my brother gets here tomorrow. And I'm anxious, and yet my brother doesn't give a hoot, right? So I don't know why it's like a sister thing or I don't know. I'm usually more together than I have been the last couple of years. And so, I mean, we're both going through the same thing. We're both going through the same loss. We're both going through the same crap in the universe. So anyway, all right. Well, we'll get through it. We'll get through it. So do you celebrate these holidays? Is this something that you do? Or are you boycotting or I'm always curious what other people do. That's kind of what we're going to talk about today a little bit. Just I got a dog behind me. I don't know. Can you see him? Where is he? Can I show you? Hang on, let me. I'm leaning the wrong way. No, he's literally right behind me. And let me see. Let me just. There he is. So he's right on my bum. So I'm blocking him. I'm like a linebacker. um so I'm just curious, and we'll give people a chance to log in because it's only 5:02. This is eggnog, not spiced. And I'll be paying for that later. It's just any other day for you. Now, where you are though, is the whole area, is it decorated? Is it in lights? Or um I've never been there in the holiday season. I bet it's beautiful. And what's your temperature? I should know this. I should look this up. It's probably chilly. It's probably the same as here because we are. All right, so it's just like yep. It is. What is our temperature right now? Oh, all right. So right now it's 35 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't think it shows me Celsius, but um, it's definitely warmer than the last couple of days. We actually had snow this morning, which I just love. But I had to drive someplace today, and I'm like, no way, you better clear up. As I say to a friend of mine, it's kind of like when you're walking on a flat surface. I'm not that stable on a flat surface, so I'm not that great of a driver in the sunshine, let alone icy roads. So I'm just excited that it stopped snowing, and now it can snow. I give it permission, but it says at 6 p.m. we're supposed to get wintry mix. So we'll see, but then we don't get anything else anytime soon. I just remember growing up as a kid, and I don't know if I kind of believe that some of this is climate change. But as a kid at this time of the year, we were buried in snow. I loved this time of year. So yeah, anyway. It's, uh, it's something that I've always enjoyed. But, when I think about, um, holidays can be joyous and they can be sad. They can be fun and they can be annoying. So, yeah, it's 39 Fahrenheit there. Okay, so similar temperatures. Um, and I definitely, do you have snow on the ground or no? I love snow. The dogs love the snow. They don't like the rain. And yesterday it was raining on us. Or yesterday or the day before. It was the day before, and it was windy and whipping in our faces. And my little one, who's behind me, is just like this, Mama, get me the hell back in the house. Just like that in his dog language. No snow at all. Yeah. I mean, I miss the snow. I don't know. Call me crazy. Call me crazy. But one of the things that I've always liked, it's this rare time of year where, in theory, society is in a similar, and that, and I have some friends that are celebrate Hanukkah. I have a couple of friends that celebrate Kwanzaa. And then I have friends that don't celebrate anything, but they just like the season and it's a good excuse to go shopping. Um, and don't get me wrong, I'm a girl who loves to go shopping. But when you're on a tight budget and et cetera, there's no real shopping. My brother and I set a limit because we don't need anything. It's like $20. That's it. We basically know what we're going to give each other. There might be a surprise in there. But it's just not, we're grown-ups. I'm like, what I really need is someone to pay my rent for a couple of months. That's not a Christmas gift. Um, and I had what do they call it? Crisis of conscience, where now I'm probably going to be stirring the pot here. Don't miss the snow. Got to do everything on your bicycle. Oh, wow. Okay. So then I hope you don't get any snow. Do you have to, do you use your bicycle to get to work? Wow. I lost my train of thought. Where was I going with this? Where was I going with this? I don't know, but it'll eventually come back to me. Um, but over the last gifts. What do if I need something and I have it in my budget, I go buy it for myself. So anyway, it's and there's so much pressure to give people things. That's why I bake cookies. That's why I make, my butters. You're 67 and retired. Excellent. Yep. 62 and retired. Yep. I'm going with retired instead of on disability. And I enjoy it. I just can't touch my retirement money yet. So once I can touch my retirement money, I'll be able to breathe a little bit. But when you start touching it, especially right now, and especially with this American poop going on, um, it's causing such chaos for us. So I just am hesitant to do anything. But it's funny because we're playing the Powerball lottery, and I don't think you guys have that, but it's at, is it 1.6 billion? Which is obscene, right? Let me just get here a second. Powerball. So it is at, oh God, 1.7 billion dollars. Like, what the heck? Don't get me wrong. If I were to win it, I would be able to do something with it. But the sheer number of the word billion, I have a hard enough time grasping million. But I definitely could do some good stuff with that. And definitely travel. a little bit more. I'd have a hard time leaving the puppies, but, depending on where I go, I can take them. But it's kind of obscene, 1.7 billion. Whoever wins this, like, what goes through their mind? And I wouldn't even tell anybody if I won, not initially anyway. I'd get the right people around me first. And knowing me, not that I could spend that, um, I'd put myself on a serious budget, and short of a medical emergency, you can't touch it and I can't change it. That in my head is the voice that I replay. Um, you know, we got the national lottery. It's 39.4 million now. It is an absurd amount. I know. And again, not that you wouldn't accept it if you played the lottery and, I had stopped for months and months and months and months. I'm like, look, I'm going to be a winner if I just keep the two American dollars in my wallet. But when it came up to a billion, I'm like, what are the odds? 1 in a billion. I'm like, okay, what the heck? And then it went up to, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. It's like, it's the dream. And what I think it does it for me, and I think for some people, is it releases or reduces the stress of how am I going to take care of myself. And I don't know, your family situation, your friend's situation. I don't have children. I don't have a circle around me that if God forbid something happened to me, short of my brother who lives 4 hours away, it's not like he's right around the corner and can take me to a doctor's appointment. Um, and I have a small apartment. He's sleeping in my room the next couple of days and I'm on the couch. And I don't mind that. But the point being, I don't really have a circle around me to take care of me if I needed help. Last year, I had gotten the flu, and a fellow dog walker would come. He would take my dogs to the dog park, run them around. And he did that for a couple of days for me, which was incredibly generous. But there aren't a lot of people that I could just tap into. Even some of my closest friends, they're 90 minutes away. So the 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 idea that, community is so important to us and to me, and one of my goals in 2026, I don't want to call it a resolution, but a goal is to allow myself to just step outside a little bit more. Um, and welcome people. It's Ben Bacon. Oh, crud, I forgot. I gotta go get scripts since the store will be closed for a couple of days. All right, Ben. Well, off you go. And I'll try to see you over the next couple of days, but I will be with my brother for most of it. So, but go get your script. Don't want you to be without your meds. And so some of the traditions, when we talk about traditions, growing up, my mother loved to decorate. And my nana was born in 1909. So she was through World War I, World War II, and consequently everything that came after it. And she was a child of poverty, as most Italians where we grew up were. And she was in the border of New York City and then a lower New Jersey. And that's where a lot of the working class Italians lived. And my nana really did have to walk to school, and there was no Santa Claus. There was no real Christmas. They would go to church, midnight mass, but it wasn't about presents, and it wasn't really about any of that stuff. If anything, she would get the hand-me-down shoes from her older sister. And there were no new clothes, there were no presents. She did not have a Santa Claus. So what we used to do, and this is sort of the fun memory, is whatever we gave her, it was always brand new, and it was, yes, it was something she needed, but we always snuck something in there that she didn't need but wanted. Um, and the sheer joy on my nana's face when she would open her presents, it really, as kids, we knew we didn't understand the implications of not having enough food growing up. She worked in factories. She couldn't go to school. I think she made it to 6th or 7th grade, and then she worked in the factories. That's what you did. You helped support your family, all the children. Everybody was a worker. Otherwise, there was no food. Um, and I forget what her father did as a trade. I know what my grandpa did once she got married, and she got married pretty young, and I think that that was intentional, right? They encouraged young people to get married to get them out of their house so that they didn't have to worry about feeding that person. It sounds cruel, but I don't think it was really cruel. And my nana loved my grandpa, but he worked at a grocery store and he was in the vegetable section. And I find it interesting because I have love of vegetables, growing them more than eating them. But um, it's funny how we come full circle sometimes. And um, and this was, kind of me talking about presence. It's like, look, anybody that has studied religion, and this is where I'm going to get, potentially strung up here. Um, Christmas really was just an excuse for the Catholic Church to encourage the pagans to come to their side of the table, you know? And so that's kind of when they're like, well, we're going to celebrate the birth of Jesus. What ended up happening over the centuries is everybody assumed that's when Jesus was born. Do your freaking history. And, shame on the people in the Bible. They should know better. But they went with it. And there are people that I talk to today that are diehard. No, he was born on December 25th. I'm like, first of all, there's nowhere that indicates that. Second of all, if you study the history and the environment and the weather and the star constellations, there's no way it could have been in December. It was September, more than likely, and we don't have a day. So, I would get riled up because where it should just be a day of enjoyment. And yes, now is where less of a religiously, what's the word? I don't know if Ben's still here. I'm struggling with my words today. But we'd be centered in religious communities, and we're not anymore. We're not even centered in our own familial communities anymore, right? So, but back in the day, whatever that day was, you all believed basically the same thing, and you would see each other at church. Um, my friends, you would see each other at synagogue. The truisms is that if you follow your religious teachings, we have, especially Catholicism, which then broke off and had multiple other Protestant type religions. We you know we we corrupted a beautiful experience and a beautiful story, and then we got tied to Santa Claus with gifts, and Hallmark ran with that sucker. Hallmark is one of those that has created a holiday for profit. And we do fall into that trap. I hugely fall into that trap. um and then you end up feeling disappointed if during that time, whether it's Valentine's, St. Patty's Day, Easter, and any of these holidays that we have designated as, oh, we must give something, um there's a lot of pressure there. Okay, hold on. So Cromel says, one grandfather was a violin player in an orchestra, and the other was a medical director in a hospital. Oh my gosh, in Indonesia. Wow. You come from smarty pants. Um, and not that I want to dismiss the doctor, the medical director, but violin player, beautiful. Wow. That's fantastic. Um, and I think we're probably one of the last generations that would have had grandparents that were either part of World War One, World War Two, and so on. Um, and I think we are losing that sense of history as they have moved on and our parents move on. Um, that there's that the further away you get from something that was so defining in our personal growth is amazing. So kind of nice that you had a violin player in the family. I was not a medical director. I was a billing director in a hospital. That was my career for the last part of it. I hassled insurance companies to pay patients' bills, and I had a pretty large staff to bully around. Actually, some of them still keep in touch with me, and it's been a really long time. Um, the one thing that I think with the holidays, and this is where the Hallmark part of it comes in, is it mirrors our longing for community, a desire to belong, being part of a family. And in my case with grief, it's been disconnected. Karen Suki, I'm so glad you're here. Oh, hello. Sorry not to be here. I am trying to juggle more than one channel. Oh, eh, I didn't know somebody else was on live at this time, but that's okay. Welcome and happy to have you here. Cookies are on the way. And so, it's the grief part of holidays is just that you miss the people that don't get to celebrate with you. And I think that's the hardest part for me at this time. Oh, thank you. Um, so I think, and what gets corrupted is the value. So I won't say who this I gave a gift. I thought a generous gift. And the feedback immediately was, that's it. I don't know. I must have had silent angels holding me back because I was like, excuse me? I worked hard to give you that gift. But because other people, it was almost became a competition who could outspend. I'm like, I don't play that game. I gave you something that I thought you could use. I gave you a gift that I know I would have liked to have received. So I stopped giving gifts for the most part, and I would make it known it's coming homemade. So if it wasn't cookies and it wasn't homemade soap at the time, I made body scrubs, but I don't believe I ever gave those as gifts. Um, uh, Homemade butters, things that I would make. Um, and I was making homemade vanilla for a while, but you have to use alcohol for it. And um, a couple of people are recovering alcoholics. And so I'm like, I don't think I can give this to you. So I don't know what the rules are, even though it's going to burn off. Um, it was recommended that I just don't give that homemade gift. If somebody else wants to go to a store and buy it, it's probably been burned out or created as an imitation. But homemade vanilla is made with either you can use bourbon, whiskey. Well, bourbon is whiskey, right? I don't know my boozes and vodka. I use vodka, and so I have a very large bottle of vodka that is actually vanilla, and then I have a couple of small jars. So I don't need to purchase vanilla anytime soon, but it would really hurt my heart to know that I, you know, corrupted somebody that was on their healing path. Karen, who else is going live at this moment? Is it in preparation for the village going live the next couple of days? And you don't have to tell me. I just was curious. I didn't get any notifications, but you could be, monitoring some other channel that I'm not a part of. So, one of the things that I do like about the season is it's really about the season of community, of generosity, of time. One of the gifts that I really love, especially around my birthday, is just getting together with friends and having lunch, having dinner, going for walks or hikes. Now, I don't hike as much anymore, but I still love being outside. I still love going to events. When I lived closer to Boston, that was easier. Now being way out in the boondocks here, rural, um, it takes a lot of effort. And then your window is shorter. So, but this is also a time for me personally, I would say forgiveness. I definitely am more reflective at this time of year. Not that I have New Year's resolutions, but I do use the new year as a kickoff for changes that I want to make or, you know, things that I want to do different for myself as a means of growth, as a means of forgiving others, of forgiving myself, um, trying to be a little bit more hopeful. As I mentioned earlier, I think here in the United States, I'm not feeling hopeful, and it's a lot of work to be hopeful. And so I have to remove myself from the political gobbledygook noise, focus on myself. And this is one of the things that we talk about, right? How do we as individuals make changes that may influence others to do the same and to stand in their truth and to stand strong for what's right? Um, and then again, who decides what's right? And this is my struggle because if you listen to me, I should be the ruler of the world. I know everything, and yet I know nothing. Um, but I think if we treat each other with kindness, if we treat each other with respect, if we treat each other with compassion, even understanding, again, we don't have to agree, but as a community, not even politically, just as a community, um, wouldn't the world be a better place? I think. Cha-ching, cha-cha-changes. Oh, I love David Bowie, and that is a song that plays through my head when I go crazy. Um, as a matter of fact, what was I listening to the other day? And I said, I've got to remember to tell Carmel, what the heck was the song? Oh my God. It'll come to me. It will come to me. I hope before the end of this show. Um, and so, but so to keep on track here when we talk about community and just being kinder to each other, that's also being kinder to our families. Sometimes we're just so disconnected because we do see things so differently. It doesn't mean that we have to hate on one another. And I don't know if I would say my family feels that way towards me. I'm not going to put words in their mouth, but and my family, really is just my two brothers at this point, and the one brother that I'm not celebrating with. Um, he has a beautiful family that is growing exponentially in his life. And it's a wonderful thing. And he was very generous with his wife, inviting myself and my other brother to come. I'm not traveling in the holidays. I'm not getting on the highways with a bunch of, road racers. Um, were we live last week when I talked about, I think maybe we talked about it on Thursday when people in my neighborhood, and it's a neighborhood, were speeding, hit a beautiful pity bowl, um, and dragged it for a distance, and, we still can't find that dog, it took off. And I spent an hour and a half on Saturday in the park looking for that damn dog. And I say that with affection because there was a community of us that all were out in different areas looking for this dog. And then we were asked not to because at this point, it's been a week. The dog's hungry, scared, tired, injured, and the fear will come up. And if you call the dog, it'll be more likely to hunker back into this space rather than to come out. And there's a whole plan that they're looking for this dog. And I just, I don't even want to tap into my intuition to see, what I think is going to happen. But it really breaks my heart. But the beauty in this is this community of dog lovers. Everybody was worried. Everybody was looking for this dog or tapped into neighbors that they knew were in that area. Um, and for me, that's what's beautiful about community. Considering the title of the show, Chuck Berry's, I want to play my dick. Well, somebody knew that one. Um, I have some saucy things, but that will change the whole tone of this video. I am a little cheeky, just so you know. Um, and the holiday, one of the things that I think, it bridges our past and the future. And as we try to do this inner growth work, as we talk about healing and forgiving, that's our past. Even though it has some beauty in it, there's still, how do you bridge that with our future? How do we talk to our ancestors? How do we make peace with childhood memories if they weren't all that and a cup of tea? They weren't all that special. Um, and and then we talk about the cultural and the spiritual lineage differences. We don't have, well, I shouldn't say we, because I don't know what everybody else's spiritual, cultural, religious lineage is. So I don't know if people on the channel are still intertwined in that history. But what I loved the most growing up was going to midnight mass, and I went to Catholic school 5 days a week, and I did go to church on the weekends with my nana, and I did for a long time wanna be a nun, and then when I went to high school, it was a private school where I was the only girl in my class of 80 boys. I didn't wanna be a nun after that, not that I really knew anything else about boys because all the boys I grew up with were family. Um, but I had a wide-eyed experience, right? You learned a little bit more about the world and the people in it and who are you connected to. And, um, and then religious differences, because I wasn't exposed to religious differences. There was only Catholics. I mean, I knew there were other people, but I didn't know any other people. Um, and so, your worldview is limited. One of the things that helped me expand my worldview was not just the news, because Vietnam was big for me back then, and my family, and the space program was big for us. National Geographic introduced me to the world. And I know it might sound silly, but those magazines really did teach me about other cultures and countries. I'd never heard of Africa. And I thought of Africa as like this small one country place. Not understanding that Africa's just sort of a big title like United States. And within the United States, there are other states that make up the United States. Europe All I knew was Italy. I heard of England. I heard of France. I heard of Ireland. We heard of Germany. And then there were other countries that got sprinkled in. Um, and over time, you seeing this magazine, this beautifully written magazine, and in the old days, Time magazine was absolutely incredible. Now it's not even worth, opening or buying. It's like this big, and articles are that big, and there's no detail and there's no anything in them. But that was my exposure. And don't even talk about other foods. We never ate any other food. My dad was a butcher. There was meat, and then there was Italian food. There was nothing else. I didn't know about Asian food until I was a teenager. Um, we didn't really go to McDonald's. We did have one. Burger King was more prominent where I grew up. Later in life, one of my brothers worked there. Um, but that was not something that was in my family's budget. We didn't go out to eat. We were home cooks. So when you think about cultures, and that's I'm going to tie this back. Sorry, I'm sort of rambling. Um, but the beauty of yesteryear, right, is that you have those memories. You have those connections. And in today's world, as people don't live near their families anymore, um, and we have stepped away from indoctrination of our religiosity. Um, your communities then crumble a little bit. You have to redefine community. And when I moved away from Boston, I had to redefine community. But I still have that community, but they're not close by. So I don't get to see them as frequently as I would like. And partly that's on me. Um, my fear of driving and being in an accident for a fourth time is just not something I'm prepared to do unless it's a special exception. I'm going to work on that. Being a certified hypnotherapist, I think I can do some self hypnosis to work on the fear of driving. But um, it's also stepping out of my house to make a community of like minded people, or and I didn't get to go to the drum circle that I wanted to go to. I'm going to start it in the new year, but there was one last weekend. But I was too busy baking. I was too busy trying to get my house in some semblance of order before the holidays kick in. And but the drum circle will have a whole variety of people I would never meet, and I can't wait to participate in it. And I made a decision that I'm going to volunteer at this particular organization so that I can go see groups, local bands, and that kind of thing that I never would have been able to afford to go to. But if I volunteer and I take tickets and I serve drinks, I get to be part of it. Oh my God, Karen, I wish you lived closer. It's such Carmel said the first McDonald's opened here when I was 34 years old. You're not missing anything, are you? That's for sure. Karen, I would love a drum circle. Yeah, there is something. So I have this little gadget. Oy, 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 here. It comes with. I don't know where I put the drumsticks, and you can make music and sound with each. And it's not the same, but there's something therapeutic hitting a drum. And I don't mean just, I mean, it feels violent, it feels energetic, it feels rejuvenating, it feels expressive. Um, so I'm really looking forward to fiddling around with this. And it's funny because as I'm talking, sometimes it picks it up and there's a sound and there's a little ringy dingy that goes on. Oh, a ringy dingy. See? I'm looping the ring a ding a ling ling. Asterisk 14 fears. I don't know that. I don't know that what does that mean? 14 fears. Karen says, "I might be blasphemy, but I like McDonald's. They have the best fries." No blasphemy, sister, it's okay. Um, I had a Big Mac, um, I don't wanna call it addiction, but I would eat it regularly over the past decade. But I don't, eh, there's no health benefits there for me, and I'm really trying to be better about what I put into my body. Um, and then there was some stupid, and I'm sure it's fake news, but that is not real hamburger, and I just was like, "You know what? True or not true, I don't know, but I don't need to go there." So I stepped away, and it just helped reinforce the fact that I really don't need a damn Big Mac. I can go home and make my own damn Big Mac. Um, let's see. Hold on. Yeah, it was vibrating to my voice, and that wouldn't surprise my brothers because I do have a big mouth and I talk loud. That's for a couple of reasons. So when I did community theater, you have to project. When I would sing, you have to project. When I was doing sales and presenting in front of a room full of physicians and medical practitioners, you had to speak loudly. Um, and when you grow up with just all boys, you have to have a big mouth to be heard. So it was vibrating. And I really do try to pay attention sometimes. I don't realize how loud my voice can get. And I don't think I've ever asked on the channel. I'm afraid that somebody will say, "Yeah, you have a big mouth and it's annoying." And it would hurt my feelings. um, uh, Surely you've never had Dutch or Belgian fries. Nope, I haven't, but I'd be willing to try. Karen says, I haven't had fast food in over 10 years, not because I don't want it. I know you have to be healthier. Um, you should sing notes like a scale and see which tone it vibrates to. I can do that when you're not here. One of the things that I will say is so prior to my heart event in 2019, I was doing a lot of community theater. In the last year or so, with menopause, my voice was changing anyway. After being intubated, um, I can't hit my notes. I struggle to, I sound scratchier and it's not as melodic. And it's funny because I was doing some karaoke the other night just to test the range because I was going to go caroling. And before I went caroling with friends, I really wanted to hear what I sounded like. And maybe with a group of people, it wouldn't be as offensive, but I was scratchy. I was on key, but I was scratchy and harsh. And there were some that I just couldn't make the notes. And I'm not proficient enough in hearing notes. My friend Cassie is, and she's a voice coach. I should really get her to help me lower uh, the note. So instead of singing soprano, I would drop down to an alto or whatever iteration in between. But I'm not proficient enough in that. But I'll sing to my heart's content until my dogs cover their ears. And I can't get over how they are just snoring away. Um, let's see. Oh wow, intubation damage your vocal cords. I think it did. So Karen, you may not know my story. I am going to talk about it next month on the anniversary, but I died for 14 minutes, January 19th, 2019. Excuse me, January 27th, 2019, from a massive heart event. It was not really a heart attack. It's called spontaneous coronary artery dissection. And so one of the arteries had an itsy bitsy paper cut and pulled the blood behind my heart and collapsed my heart. And I died in the ER. and they spent 14 minutes bringing me back. And then the discussion was whether or not to induce me into a coma to allow my heart to get some blood back in it. I am a miracle because they call it the Widowmaker. I'm one of the few that survived that kind of event. Um, and it's taken several years, but because I was intubated, I'm saying it's because I was intubated, because my voice changed dramatically. But if that's the price you have to pay for coming back, amen. Um, oh, you do know. Okay. I wasn't sure. Um, yeah, I'll be talking about it again. Yeah, the Widowmaker. Very few survive it. Um, but I freaked everybody out in the emergency room when I just looked at everybody and said, "I think I'm gonna pass out." And they're like, "No, no, no." And that's, Teresa, Teresa, Teresa. That's the last I heard until a long time later. Um, and that journey is still a fascinating one. I have to write that journey down, and I've started it multiple times. I think that's why I want to kick off this new series starting next week, journaling, because I need the impetus to start. And I think doing a word a day gets you back into the rhythm of writing. I like writing longhand. Yes, I don't mind typing, but I love the art of writing. And like everything, if you don't do it, you're not practicing as much, and so you have chicken scratch. So anyway, I'm really looking forward to this new adventure that we're going to start next week already. Um, and I'm coming up with a list of words to kick us off. And I love the idea. And again, Krumel actually inspired me. So I dusted off my old Canon camera. Even though you can use your phone, I'm going to try to use my camera and incorporate taking photos as part of my journaling, and use that as inspiration. So thank you again, Krumel, for that idea. And I have a friend, somebody in this chat actually, that mentioned singing their journaling. And I thought, well, I've been making up, silly songs for years. Why not incorporate? Because it's not like we're sharing it. This is all personal. I'm not going to say at the end of the week, so did you journal? What did you write? It's none of my business. One of the techniques I learned, and I think I may have talked about this before, I'm pretty sure I did, is writing letters to yourself about a specific incident or no incident, and just things that you wanted to forgive yourself for or change or whatever. And you could write it and mail it to yourself, or you could write it, seal the envelope, and pick 6 months from the day to open it and read and see where you felt. And do you still feel that same way? Or have you moved through whatever it is? I'm not a believer in that, you get over it, snap out of it and let it go. That's it's like you move through grief, but grief always is with you because you loved somebody and they're not with you anymore. So I don't want to forget the love and I don't want to forget the person. Um, but it's funny. I had healed a long time ago from the one person that, I loved tremendously and had a hard time every time we broke up and we got back together and we broke up and we got back together. And when I found out he was murdered, it brought back a lot for me. And I'm very smart. I understand we were not meant to be together, but that's still the one person that has made me feel special, where I don't think I've encountered that. Well, I know I haven't encountered it since, because um, that's just not that has not been the journey so far. Um, and to see that, you know, when we go through holidays, when we go through events, when we go through anything, the slightest reminders are good journaling points so that we can work through things and put them in their proper place. Again, I talk about the backpack, right? I don't want to carry this crap with me all the time. I don't want to, I'm too old for that. And I'm still young, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to live the next 20 years carrying crap from, 40 years ago. All right, hold on. Da-dun, da-da. I like writing longhand too. I've said before how sad it makes me that they no longer teach it. Oh, I didn't know they don't teach it. So I don't have kids. Um, it's like teaching math, addition, multiplication. I agree. Up, Ben's back. You got your drugs, Ben? Excellent. Um, and so, I think that again, holidays, they remind us of our traditions. Um, and and when we're alone, so like me, except that this year my brother's coming. um oh, I love Gilda. I love Gilda Radner. Rosanna. Saturday Night Live. Loved her. um I think, winter for me, the darkness is sort of a revelation. It allows us to be the light in the darkness, to revel in darkness. Darkness is light. And it helps us um to be still and be quiet for a little while. And I think, and again, Carmel was very inspirational to me when he talked about photography. But one of the things about walking the dogs a lot, especially when it's snowing, is to capture that moment of silence. And, yeah, we can do that on a phone with video, but there's something about a beautiful photograph. And recently I saw online that they're doing this thing. I can't afford it right now, but they're doing this mindful photography. And I just thought, what an awesome opportunity. Um, oh, I have that problem, but I'm old. You're not old. That reminds me of a song. Old, but I'm not that old, young. No, okay, I won't sing. Um, and so, Ben, are you doing anything specific for the holidays? I know that you're going to be helping a lot on the village. Do you have any traditions or anything that you do? Do you decorate? Do you? Um, I am the typo god. Gaze upon my marvelous works, ye mighty and despair. You are funny. And so, what do the holidays mean to you guys? I mean, some, I mean, Carmel, it's just another day. Not really, not in a long time. Yep. What times are you on the village? Do I need a link to get there? Not sure I kept it. Oh, that's something you'll have to talk to Ben about. I don't know if there was a meeting. I don't think I saw the villagers getting together, but I could have missed it. Um, so catch up with Ben on that one. Ben, I am on 7 and 8 a.m. Central. Trista is going to be on 2. Yeah, I'm so excited. I got Trista to do it. I reached out to her. I was really excited. I'm like, "Look, you should, girl." And I don't know if Josh is going to, but I encourage Josh to also pop on. Josh did it last year, I think. And he might have been with you, Ben, and Victor. Um, I just think it's a great opportunity for people that may not have seen Trista before. This morning she did this great little, she's been doing it every day, but she did this 11-minute like meditation with sound. And I've been wanting to connect with her because I have all my singing bowls and I would love to see if we could do that. I love singing bowls. Um, that um, tonality of the vibration of that is just wonderful. That's why I like Ben Carroll. He's somebody that he I don't even know what you call what he does. It's not a moan. I guess you call it singing, but he sings with the singing bowls, and it is hauntingly beautiful. Let me see if I can find him real quick. Hold on. So that way, if you haven't heard of him or haven't seen him, you can. So let's go to bum bum bum. There he is. Yep. Yep. One day ago. Let's copy this one. Share, copy, come back, and whoops, and paste. Oh, fiddlesticks. Did I just there? That's Ben Carroll. If you haven't heard of him, he's really it's haunting, but it's beautiful. It's something I really use as expression for myself, because that moaning, that hum to the singing bowls is magical to me. This is me speaking. um let's see, Ben. Now, if I was responsible, I would save that, Eddie, so I don't have to go. Yes, if you exactly, Ben, if you were responsible. You're so irresponsible. um Singing bowls are my favorite form of meditation. Yeah. um I am more of a fan of cowbell. Hey, that's part of my drum circle. You know what? I'm going to see, Carmel, and Karen, since you said you were interested. I'm going to see if they'll let me just record me, like just video me and play it. Because I think when my friend Deb used to sing, she had a band, and I would go listen to her sing. Every once in a blue moon, she'd pull you on stage, and I love the damn tambourine. I know it's silly, but just making sound, um, unbelievable. I got a fever, and then the only prescription is more cowbell. Ben. Oh Lord. And that song, Carmel, that I wanted to remember to share with you, I don't think I wrote it down. Let me just check on my phone, because that's what I usually do when I need to remember something. No, but I did write the word focus. I saw someone say focus. Okay, so forgive me, it's a little saucy. Fuck off, cause you're stupid. So if I don't want to curse at somebody, could say, "Oh, just focus." And I was doing that because I was talking last time about pita, pita bread, pita, pain in the ass, so that I could call someone a pita and not actually, "Oh, you're such a pain in the ass." Because again, I'm trying to use my words wisely. So focus, pita. When I see these are the little humorous things that I write down for myself to remember, because I don't always remember. Um, so I used to chase with his Friday night live. Oh wait, hold on. It's from. I'm assuming that's an SNL show. Because that was with Ron Lundy, who's the actor. Um, uh, God, what is or Burgundy, Ron Burgundy. Ron, nope. Ron Burgundy. Played by, oh, come on, Will Ferrell. Jeez, I'm telling you guys. Loved him. Oh, Christopher Walken also very freaking funny. Um, I would like to see him as Randall Flagg in The Stand. Another great movie. Anybody else besides Ben see The Stand, the Stephen King movie? The Stand. Oh my God. Now there are two versions of that. The original with Ruby Dee, and then Whoopi was in another version. Saw them both, loved them both. He was slated to be the bad guy, but they went with the other dude who did a great job, by the way. I mean, you can look at Christopher Walken, but his voice would have, I think, distracted, um, or maybe not. Um, which one is the best? Oh, I thought the remake was good. The remake was definitely good. I don't think I could pick. I think they're different. Um, but I really liked the original. I really liked the original. Um, but do a comparison. We talked about who did I talk to? Was it on the channel or was it at the dog park? And we talked about Lord of the Rings and we talked about the extended version. If you have HBO, which right now I don't because I had to get rid of my subscription, but I guess they have the extended versions of Lord of the Rings. Now I've seen them all and I own the damn videos, so I can always pop them into my computer and watch them. Harry Potter, all these things that you can sort of love bomb on over and over and stream. But I've done comparisons of certain movies, but I loved The Stand. Hands down, it's still one of my favorite books of his. He has others, but um, he was harder for me to read than there's another writer, Dean Koontz, Koontz. Um, Amazing writer, similar to Stephen King, but I was terrified for a decade or so reading those damn books, but I had nothing else to do on the subway, and those were great, entertaining books. And by the time I either got to work or got home, I was less impacted. If I read at night, and I don't anymore, but before I go to bed, whatever I read remains with me. It's like watching a movie at night. If there's anything that's terrifying, I can't. Um, Even The Chosen, which I've been addicted to watching. If there's a violent scene in my head, I'm having some kind of a dream. And when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, what the hell was happening to me in this dream? Let's see. Oh, good. I'm glad you like Kuntz. I think he's great. Another great writer is Jonathan Kellerman. He writes a great murder mystery, psychological thrillers. All right, I'm just looking. Yes, LOTR. It actually makes sense. They cut too much. Well, they had to, Ben, right? I mean, for gosh sakes, there was so much that they had to knock out. Otherwise, you would have been in the movie theater for like 4 hours, 5 hours. She couldn't sleep after Pet Cemetery. Ben Bacon, his movies didn't translate well. I loved Phantoms. I agree. His books don't translate really well into movies. I agree. Yeah, but it turned out great. Now, if you really like espionage, David Morrell. Oh my God, is it David Morrell or is it Michael Morrell? Or is that somebody you went to school with? Hold on, let me just correct myself. Yeah, he's a Canadian writer. His books, what the hell are they doing here? He wrote First Blood, but his other books, I mean, they transport you and you're like, you can't breathe with the intensity sometimes of his books. We should do that. We should talk about our favorite authors. Um, because it's to me, one of the things I want to know from you guys, and I think I'm going to bring it up for Tuesday, is what are some of your favorite channels outside of our village? So, what are some of the things that interest you that maybe one of us would appreciate? Um, do I think people really are interested in homesteading? Maybe not, but I can throw it out there. Do you care about making, homemade butter? Probably not. But there are a lot of other things that I do stream that I find interesting. So, um, and I'm still a huge fan of growing up in Scientology with A. Ron. Um, he's the one that I follow now. I don't think I follow any of the others. I've sort of had to draw a line in some of the other bullshit. I met Dan Simmons once. He lived next to my mom's friend. He got snobby when he found out I hadn't read any of his books. I don't know Dan Simmons. Who's Dan Simmons? DANSIMMONS. Books. Well, you can tell him that I haven't read any of his books either. The Terror, Summer Night. No, I haven't read any of him either. So, and I was a prolific reader, but I also was a huge fan of like Anne Rice, Laurel K. Hamilton, J.R. Ward, and those are vampire-ish books, which I love. And there was a lot of intensity to those too. I also was a fan of oh my god, they made 4 movies. Nope, Hunger Games is a different series. Which I read that one too. Oh my god, I'm having a brain fart. Um I'm just looking at cat. I love watching The Dog Whisperer. Cesar Millan's amazing, and I used to watch him before I had dogs. And I watched the cat guy, something Jackson or Jackson something, and that was before I had cats. And I love Villa Lobos, saving all the pit bulls. So that was another one that I got hooked on. Um, yeah, I love sci-fi and fantasy. I've got tons. Um, so I would love to just see what other people read, and what they watch on YouTube. Um, I liked Ron until he cheated on Jenna Miscavige. Yeah, I think there was more to that, and yes, he was a dog. Um, and I agree that was disappointing. Um, but there are no halos hanging over her head. Um, let's see. Cesar Millan is a spiritual teacher in a lot of ways because there's love in the animals, right? He's about getting it. You have to have boundaries, like with people. You have to have boundaries. Chase Hughes cites him often. Jackson Galaxy, that's his name. Chase Hughes cites who? Jackson Galaxy? I love Caesar and have never had a dog, but his techniques work on my cats. Ben Beacon, Aaron. Yeah, I had to stop seeing his as someone I wanted to hang out with, and more Scientology news after that. I had to stop seeing him as someone I wanted to hang out with, and more Scientology news. Yeah, he's not somebody I mean, it's just about Scientology. That's all. I and I really, when he was having at it with another creator who I think is a Looney Tune anyway, and I made my own judgment. But the anger and hostility, I was like, I tapped out. I'm like, I'm done. People, if you guys are going to spew hate, I'm about love. I want children and the elderly, and I want people. If you go into any kind of community and you have your own eyes open and you choose, that's one thing. When you are raised in a cult, that's a whole different ballgame. And the violence against women in that cult is despicable. John Irving is a great writer, Krumel. I love John Irving. I was so sad when he passed away. Great writer. I like how Caesar tells humans how to lead dogs. Works on people moving the yes, slow, communicates confidence. Absolutely. The old Caesar gets more spiritual. Yeah, as he ages. I agree. I agree. As you age, I think that's also natural, right? Um, so anyway, guys, I'm gonna let you go. For those of you that are watching on the replays, please give a thumbs up, hit that like button. And I wish everybody a happy holiday season. If you're not doing anything, I wish you a wonderful couple of days. I will be back live on Tuesday. What did I say I wanted to talk about? Oh my God, guys, what did I say I was going to talk about? Oh, hold on, I got to write it down. Is this clean? It is. Books and YouTube channels. Sorry, I have to write this down. I may or may not see some of you in the next couple of days on some other YouTube channels, but I'm really going to be focusing in on spending time with my brother. Krumel, thank you so much. Karen, thank you so much. Ben, thank you so much for being here. As always, I send you with love, with light, with healing, with compassion, sprinkled with joy, laughter, and giggles. Mwah! I will see you guys on Tuesday for sure. Bye, guys.